ACORN Canada is an independent organization of low and moderate income people with over 177,000 members.
In 2024, ACORN stood strong. Across Canada, our voices were loud, our actions bold, and our victories undeniable. This year, ACORN achieved historic wins, lowering predatory interest rates, challenging financialized landlords, and securing commitments to stronger tenant protections across the country. 2024 was about the fight, the rallies, the petitions, and the meetings our members led.
Everything we bring forward, the power that we have here today that we've assembled, came from the action that we're about to take. It came from door knocking.
The voices of everyday people came together to achieve change. This is your story. This is the power of organizing with ACORN.
Tenants in every part of the city, they should celebrate tonight. They should say that finally we have been heard.
In January, Hamilton passed a landmark municipal anti-renoviction bylaw that strengthened tenant protections when receiving N-13s. The new policy requires landlords to evidence the need for renovations, offer temporary accommodations during the renovation period, and guarantees tenants the right to return following renovations. Inspired by success in Hamilton, ACORN pushed for similar anti-renoviction bylaws to be implemented. London and Toronto ACORN had similar bylaws passed in 2024, though the fight continues for more airtight policy.
This city is bleeding affordable units.
Who are we? ACORN! What do we want? Rent control! When do we want it? Now!
ACORN Alberta rallied in the pouring rain to demand rent control. Minister of Justice Mickey Amory locked his doors and called the police on his own constituents rather than face the people. ACORN Alberta continues the fight to have rent control put into place as property values skyrocket across the nation. Tenants in New Brunswick celebrated with a rent cap of 3% set to come into effect on February 1st, 2025. But complementary legislation is still being fought for to avoid pitfalls rent control has had in other provinces.
You know, when we're talking about rent control, it does go further than the rent cap, and we do get those laws in place that can protect tenants even further from bad landlords.
When rent caps are put in on occupied units, financial incentives exist for landlords to flip units beyond rent control guidelines.
So right now, there is a bill on the table sitting in the House that can prevent this from happening and can stop landlords from putting pressure on people with these fixed-term leases.
In Canada, fixed-term leases are frequently used as a loophole to rent control. ACORN's report highlights a 300% increase in N-13 eviction notices, pushing for action to protect tenants across Canada from bad faith landlords. The fight continues for housing to be viewed not as an investment, but as a human right.
We didn't need air conditioning 50 years ago. The climate has changed drastically, and we need to make sure that there is a bylaw passed.
As temperatures rise globally, ACORN's Beat the Heat campaign is fighting for tenants' right to safe, livable housing during extreme heat. Low and moderate income tenants are vulnerable to climate change, with 36% lacking access to air conditioning and landlords imposing extra fees or restrictions on them.
I get shaky, I'm dizzy, I'm nauseous, I can't eat.
Vulnerable groups, such as seniors, children, and low-income families, are disproportionately affected by health risks like heat stroke and exhaustion.
Yet, 91% of apartment buildings registered with RentSafe do not provide air conditioning.
Climate experts predict that by 2050, days above 30 degrees Celsius are expected to triple. Extreme heat isn't uncomfortable, it's a crisis brought on by climate change.
It turned out I didn't realize I made a deal with the devil. I didn't realize how bad they were.
ACORN's fair banking victories mark a new era for fair lending in Canada. Starting January 1st, 2025, payday loans and high-interest lending face stricter rules. Annual percentage rate is capped at 35%, payday loan fees are $14 for every $100, and bounce payment fees are limited to $20. Predatory lending has pushed Canadians into cycles of debt and hardship.
You know, they scammed me. I kept looking for places where I could go and, you know, fight them, because I couldn't, everywhere I went, nobody would take a complaint. And the only people that were fighting for these type of people were ACORN.
The fight for fair banking charges forward in 2025. ACORN is continuing its battle against predatory non-sufficient fund fees. These NSF fees trap low-income people in debt cycles, with charges as high as $48. Thanks to ACORN's advocacy, the federal government has proposed new regulations to cap these fees at $10 and include essential consumer protections. But with a new election on the horizon, it's more critical than ever that we push for these policies to become reality.
We've had enough. Enough is enough. We're not putting up with this anymore, and we want something done. So it's on us as members and as normal, everyday people that are the resources of this province to stand up and fight for ourselves, because there's nobody else out there doing it for us.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. What this is about? Appointment on Tuesday in the office to speak to the
ACORN is your union, fighting back on what's important to you and your neighbors. Join the fight in 2025 and help us secure more wins.